ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A week after Hurricane Helene tore through the southeast, President Biden touring the damage in Florida and Georgia today, pledging more federal aid and acting as comforter-in-chief as the death toll tops 200.
We're really in this together. We're separate states, but we're the United States of America.
The White House says more than 40,000 people in North Carolina alone have applied so far for disaster assistance relief, and FEMA has paid out more than $6.2 million to people there impacted by Hurricane Helene. Republican VP candidate J.D. Vance today touring the damage in Virginia. Former President Trump is campaigning in Michigan. Vice President Kamala Harris is in Wisconsin. She'll be joined later by longtime Republican Liz Cheney. Israel has not decided yet how it will respond to Iran's missile attacks this week, the U.S. calling for a proportionate response. This is ABC News.
Not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Meet Brian. He just got $5,000, and it was pretty easy. I'll tell you how in 10 seconds. Brian needed cash help. After being rejected by banks, he tried 27cash.com. Told them how much he needed, even let them know he had bad credit. In minutes, 27cash.com found a lender who deposited $5,000 into his bank account the very next day. If you need cash help, even if you have bad credit, go to 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards. Rent is due. We need cash help.
We should go to 57cash.com.
With our bad credit?
57cash.com helps all credit types. They partner with over 100 lenders to help even people with bad credit get approved for up to $10,000. And cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
Wow. When you need cash help, go to 57cash.com. 57cash.com.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
At Navy Federal Credit Union, it's our mission to help you earn and save more with exclusive member rates and discounts. And when you become a member this September and open an Easy Start certificate by October 15th, you could get $100. When you have that, you'll feel financially at ease, which means you can worry about other things like, what if this advertisement has a catchy tune? What if it gets stuck in your head?
It's really that catchy.
How long will it be stuck in your head?
Forever and ever.
You have a lot of things to worry about, but as a member of Navy Federal, your finances won't be one of them. All active duty service members, veterans, and their families can join today at NavyFederal.org/September. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. $5 minimum balance for savings account. Annual percentage yield is 0.25%. $50 minimum balance for Easy Start certificates. APY varies based on terms selected. For example, 12-month Easy Start certificate earns 4.75% APY.
Here we go! From the Nashville Sports Radio Media Complex, this is the George Plaster Show. Call George now at 615-844-5600 and online at WNSR.com. And now, George Plaster.
Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown, Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Kelly Holcomb, along with Young Gun Billy Derry. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. No George Plaster today. I'll be filling in for Plaz. I'm being told he will call in for Underdog Picks about 5 o'clock, so we'll have him on a little bit later. He'll be back tomorrow with our Football Friday show, but beautiful day today, about 81 degrees. Got a high of about 86 tomorrow. It's going to be 87 on Saturday. So it's supposed to cool off at night, though, starting to cool off at night. But I'm ready. I'm ready for the cooler temperatures. So, but we're ready for some Titans talk. Even though they're on a bye, we'll check in with Terry McCormick, and then we'll talk MLB playoffs with Danny Evans at 4:20 roll through. We'll get to your phone calls all the way up until 5 o'clock, and then we've got Underdog Picks with Greg Pogue, obviously Kelly as well, and then George will be checking in also. So we got a loaded show today, but we'll start in Murfreesboro with Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how you doing?
What's up, Billy? Have you got the jitters today? Are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm focusing on the weather report because last time you
Oh, I
said
know you are. You sound like George right now. You sound like Daniel Breezy. I mean, what are we doing?
George has it locked into his brain. I had to actually check my phone and go and see what was going on in the weather. George just has it locked into his brain because he's locked into the Weather Channel, just like
Oh,
you.
absolutely. He's watching Paul Goodloe relentlessly, dude. He
Anyway,
keeps it on all the time. That's what happens when you get old and his age.
you just flip around. You locked into the weather.
Yeah, you're locked into the Weather Channel, dude.
It's not even accurate half the time. But anyway, we will. We do have some Titans talk coming up here with Terry McCormick, so we're gonna go ahead and hop into that. Terry, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. How do you feel about the Braves being eliminated?
Not my team. I don't care.
Hey Terry, are you ready to rekindle the rivalry from back in the day with the Royals?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. The Yankees, Royals. Oh my gosh. I mean, bring back Reggie and Munson and Nettles and, Ron Guidry and
Guidry?
George Brett,
Yeah.
Frank White and Willie Wilson. Heck, let's go.
What did you say happened with? I mean, George Brett. How many fights did he get into in those series?
There was one in the playoffs where George Brett hit a shot out in the gap. And I don't know, Kelly may remember this or may have seen it on video. And he gets a triple out of it.
Oh
Well, he
yeah, he
slides
goes in
into
and he
third.
hits Ron Nettles. Yeah, yeah.
He hits Nettles, and they just go at it, fist to flying, and bench is empty, and they're going at it for a good little bit. They finally separate them. Nobody's ejected, nothing. They just go on with the game. It was just baseball was different back then. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's when you could do stuff like that. You can't do that anymore. They would kick you out quicker than you could say anything.
No, absolutely. There was another incident too, and I remember this being, etched in my brain. The Yankees had runners on, the Royals had runners on first and third.
Yeah.
And Hal McRae was on first. I forget who was batting.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was a routine ground ball in the infield, and the Yankees are trying to turn a double play. Well, Hal McRae comes barreling towards second base, and he just body blocked Willie Randolph and knocked him out into the edge of the outfield. And then he tackled him. Basically, is what he did. And while he's got Randolph on the ground with the ball, unable to get rid of it, he's waving at the runner on third, like, go home and score. And the runner does score, and there was no interference, no nothing. They let the run count, and that was it.
Man,
but the Royals only beat your team one time out of those series that they had. They only beat them one time in a series, correct?
That's right. In 1980, they swept them, and that cost Dick Hauser, I think it was his job. And of course, Hauser later on went to manage the Royals, and he won a World Series with them. I guess just because of the time that I grew up, but those Yankee teams from 76 to 81, those are my favorite years of the Yankees because that's the guys that, I grew up rooting for and pulling for. And even though they lost the World Series in 76 and 81, they still got there and they won it in 77 and 78. So,
well, we'll talk more baseball, obviously, with Danny Evans coming up next segment. But Terry, let's get to the Titans. What's going on this week? What's the talk this week with the Titans? Obviously, with the bye week, but you got to feel like this is important, not just for Will Levis, but for a lot of younger players like a Jarvis Brownlee and some other young guys that they're going to have to rely on. And this is an important time for them throughout this bye week, you would think.
Yeah, they're only going to be there, probably already gone for the week. They usually stay for like 1 day of stuff, maybe 2, and then they're gone, and they're allowed to have some time away to enjoy themselves and their families. And but yeah, when they come back and they get ready for the Colts, it's really time for Levis to start to turn the corner because teams nowadays, and they have a quick trigger on young quarterbacks. You're seeing it all over the league, where if a guy hasn't figured it out by year 2, the team's ready to move on to the next guy. I mean, there are a lot of, and then the flip side of that is you're seeing a lot of retread quarterbacks like Beals that in that second or third or whatever opportunity to really start, suddenly they're a little more seasoned. They've got a little better weapons around them. They're in a better system for themselves, and some guys find it. The question, some guys never do. So the question for the Titans is, how long do you stick with Will Levis after this season? You need to see some progress to let yourself know that he's headed in the right direction. And then, the worst thing in the world, I think, if you're the Titans, would be to give up on Will Levis too soon and then see him do a Baker Mayfield and be a star somewhere else.
Right. What more are you looking for from Will Levis, Tara? I mean, we've talked about it, taking care of the football, making the right reads, maybe not diving for that first down. Is that really it for him? I mean, like what in this game action, is it as simple as that, taking care of the football and limiting those injury type plays? And do you think Levis is capable of limiting those types of plays in his game?
Well, I think that's the $1 million question. Is he? We don't know. So far, he hasn't been. I think, to me, it is as simple as eliminating the mistakes. And maybe it's about getting comfortable enough with the offense, comfortable enough with the receivers to know that there's complete trust there, that if I throw the ball up here, that Calvin Ridley is going to go get it, or DeAndre Hopkins is going to go get it. I think that trust factor has to develop, and the receivers and all have to trust him that he's not going to throw the ball to somebody in a different colored uniform once or twice a game and cost you a ball game. So I think that the growth curve for Levis right now is simply don't make the fatal mistakes, because those are what's killing you. And I realize too, and Kelly will probably agree with this, that when you're in a passing offense and 3 wide is your base, interceptions sometimes, that's the cost of doing business. But what has to happen there is when you're saying we're throwing the football and gaining chunks of yards, you look at the good teams. If they turn the ball over on an interception and it ends a drive, they have enough faith in themselves that the next time they get the football, they're going to go down and atone for that and score. It's not like the old grind it out, 3 yards in a cloud of dust where one interception should be fatal. But with this offense not clicking, one mistake always has been fatal, it seems like, in those first 4 games for this team.
Just confidence, though. He's got to gain trust with his teammates. His teammates don't really trust him right now, and you could tell that the other night in the Miami game when Mason Rudolph came into the game. Obviously, he doesn't have the same talent as Will Levis has, but they just felt more confident because they know he's not going to make a mistake, and he's got to gain that trust from his teammates, and hopefully he can do that. Experience is the best teacher, that's for sure.
Let me ask you this. Do you think they had that trust in him last year when he came in second half of the year? Because to me, he played, except for the completion percentage that's way up this year because he's taking shorter throws. Last year, he was much better quarterback, I thought.
It's just being a rookie. Guys don't expect much from rookies. They really don't. Some guy like Caleb Williams, those guys coming in, he's struggling a little bit, but he goes to a bad team. But they don't really know what to expect. You have to gain that trust by your play, by your experiences, and not putting the ball in bad situations. And right now he's doing that, and that's, there's a trust issue right now on that team. Now, if he can get over that, hopefully he can, and things will get better. But that's a long process sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a little bit yesterday, as far as when does the light go on for some guys. And if you're the Titans, you would hope that that something would click for him like it did for Jordan Love last year, where halfway through the season, he's all of a sudden started figuring some things out, and he played as well as anybody in the league after struggling in the first half. So if you're a Titans fan, you would like to see that, but there's no guarantee of it. Like you said, some guys take several years, and we're seeing that. Like, look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was written off as a journeyman backup. Now, all of a sudden, he's probably the leading candidate for MVP of the league through the first 4 games. So who knows?
Yeah, that's the hope. Big week for Will Levis. Big week for the Titans as they welcome the Colts next Sunday. Terry, thanks again. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, you guys have a good one.
See you, brother.
That's Terry McCormick from TitanInsider.com, Main Street Media with the Titans report. All right, Kelly, let's get to a quick update. Couple of things to get to. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can log on to her website, mortgageladyusa.com, or give her a call, 615-969-4350. All right, Kelly, we're going to start in the NFL tonight, Buccaneers are in Atlanta to play the Falcons. Maybe not the best game, but you do get to see Baker Mayfield and company, see if they can go on the road and play a Falcons team I think is better than their record. And I've liked watching the Falcons so far this year, Kelly. So decent game tonight. But the bigger NFL news and really college news, Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce was slapped with an 8-year show cause yesterday because of violations when he was an assistant coach at Arizona State, which I didn't even know. But the violations revolved around Pierce's scheme to circumvent restrictions during COVID. He apparently facilitated impermissible recruiting contact with 35 prospects, including tryouts, facility tours, and entertainment. He also directed an assistant to tamper with a player at another school and traveled out of state. Well, I mean, I don't get why we aren't seeing more headlines like this. I mean, how many other coaches around the country are doing exactly what he did?
All of them are doing it. I don't know. I mean, somebody got a vendetta against Antonio Pierce, but like, why are we going back? Like, it's the wild, wild west in college football right now, in college sports. Everybody's transferring, everybody's getting money, and now they're trying to go back and saying, well, he did. Like, there's no rules. Like, what are we doing? Like, let it go.
I don't get it. Also tonight, Texas State at Troy, Kelly. That's a big one for Troy.
Yeah.
They need it.
Troy's
Texas State's a good team, though.
Yeah, they're not bad. Texas State's a really good team. They got some players. They got a nice facility, but they're in Troy. So Troy needs a win, but Troy's not very good. After John Summerall left, he didn't leave the cupboard dry, but it's close to being dry.
Yeah, so not bare, but pretty close. We'll see what the Trojans do tonight. Also down on the Plains, 4-star quarterback Deuce Knight, ESPN's number 2 dual threat passer in the 2025 class, has flipped from Notre Dame to Auburn. And he did it last night. Big kid, 6'5", 205 pounds, from Loosedale, Mississippi. He actually had a cup of coffee at Lipscomb Academy for about a month last season. I don't know if you remember that, Kelly. And then he went back to Mississippi. It was kind of
I do know. Was he the left-handed kid?
No, I want to say Deuce Knight's right-handed, but he was at Lipscomb Academy.
Yes.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, Kelly, you talk about Alabama's recruiting class. Auburn has the number 3 ranked recruiting class in the country right now, according to 24/7 Sports, which I don't know how. I mean, I guess Hugh Freeze is finding some recruiting success, but it's like they're turning the attention. Don't look at our losing. Look at the recruiting here.
He's finding some money is what he's finding.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. All right, we're going to talk a lot of baseball with Danny Evans, but real quick, just a little recap. Braves eliminated by the Padres last night. Michael Harris, he had a 2-run homer in the 8th that pulled the Braves within a run, but the Padres held off, and they advanced to the ALDS against the Dodgers. We'll talk all about that with Danny Evans. Here's a quick look, Kelly, at where the playoffs stand right now. So we've got one more game to be decided in the and Kelly, you're right. Deuce Knight is left-handed. My bad.
That's what I thought. Yep.
Okay, you were right on that.
Yeah.
But here's a look at the playoffs. Mets and Brewers, one more game to be played on the wild card tonight, which is obviously the deciding game to see who plays the Phillies. Can't wait to ask Danny about his thoughts on that one. But 3 games are set on Saturday. Kelly, you'll have at noon. Detroit is in Cleveland for game 1 of the ALDS there. And then the other American League game, Kansas City at New York at 5:30. And then the nightcap, San Diego at Los Angeles at 7:30 in the National League. And Kelly, I don't know if you were able to watch much of the Padres Braves last night. Padres are dangerous, and I know the Dodgers. Yes, and I know the Dodgers are really good, and I'm excited to ask Danny about that matchup. But the Padres, the way they played, and the Braves weren't an easy out. Like, I mean,
the Padres are getting hot at the right time. It's amazing, and I'm going to ask Danny this, but like, they lost Juan Soto to New York, and they had everybody on their team last year, and everybody was talking about how good they are, and they did nothing, and then he leaves, and then look where they are. So you tell me, you know what I'm saying?
No, I think you're right. And, just the way they're playing, they're pitching well. They've got a veteran catcher, Higashioka, who's fun to watch. So I'm ready. I'm ready to ask Danny about these playoffs. And that's exactly what we'll do coming up. We'll talk all things MLB playoffs with the best. Danny Evans coming up right here on the George Plaster Show. Minus George, he'll be back at 5 o'clock for Underdog Picks, but keep it right here on 95.9 FM.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. And are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Welcome back to the George Plaster Show. No George today, but he'll be back around 5 o'clock for Underdog Picks. It's time to talk some baseball now with former Dodgers general manager Danny Evans, our weekly Thursday visit with Danny. Danny, how you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you two doing?
Doing great. How much fun are you having? Because I'm having a blast. George and I and Kelly's been watching a little bit, but I've been locked in, and I don't know if it's all the games have been on the ESPN networks or what it's been. I know they'll start being on TBS and some of those networks, FS1, but they've just been so available. You click on and there it is, and the games have been great.
Yeah, it's very addictive this time of the year, guys. I've been working the multiple TV, multiple screen. And I'm a dangerous human when that happens. It's not good. One of my friends said to me yesterday, why can't we do the call at 3:30? And I said, well, you're just not a baseball guy. If you want to do the call at that time, I'm sorry. But I think what we've been treated to is exceptional baseball, crowds completely in the game. And, you know, the sense of urgency that I think we all know exists, you can literally feel it. It's tangible within these games, just from a starting pitcher standpoint, right through the rest of the game. It's unbelievable, the intensity. And, I think it's exactly what baseball desired when they added this tier of playoffs, and I think it's worked exceptionally well.
Yeah, how was the one game do or die taken? I mean, obviously you saw the switch made. Don't think people loved that.
Oh, it was horrible. I was in one in I think 16 or 17, and I have to be honest with you, it was the most mind-numbing, nail-biting day of all time, and it was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. But candidly, I think baseball's a game that it shouldn't be winner take all for one game, just because the depth of your bullpen and your starting rotation means so much in the sport as opposed to other sports. And I think it was unfair, but God, it was a blast, especially if you won. If you lost, it was horrible. So, but luckily I didn't go on the losing side. I was only on the winning side in those experiences.
Danny Evans with us, our baseball insider. And again, Kelly and I are going to get some questions at him. But if you guys want to call in, go ahead and get in the line, and we'll take your calls next segment for Danny talking all things playoffs. Let's hop into the Braves. And decent day for George not to be on. Obviously, he's probably disappointed. But talked to him last night before the game. He said, look, I'm not going to be down in the dumps about this. For the Braves to get into the playoffs was a minor miracle. Obviously, Snitker may or may not have a decision. He did come out and say he plans to manage next year. But again, I think some people are in believe it when you see it mode, but we talked about that yesterday too. I mean, Snitker, I thought, did a heck of a job, Danny, and Padres are hot. We just talked about it, but I still think for the Braves to get in was amazing.
Billy, I love your approach. This is one of the class organizations in the game, one of the best core units in baseball, without a doubt. You lose your best pitcher, and then you lose your best player early. Mm-hmm. Yet you still go on to qualify and played great that last weekend when you had to play well. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have anything to be ashamed of at all. I think for them to get into the postseason speaks volumes about their core character, about their coaching staff, about their team. I don't think there's anything to be embarrassed about. I think injuries are just such a difficult part of sports, but particularly baseball when it's a marathon. It's 162 games over 7.5 months. And when you lose, a Cy Young candidate, then you lose the reigning MVP and a dynamic player. You lose Riley. You lose Sale at the critical point of the season. Frankly, Billy, I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. I think winning as many games as they did and getting in instead speaks very highly of them as an organization.
And looking at it, I think a big thing in the offseason, what do they do about the shortstop position? And then what do they do with Max Fried? Obviously, Fried wants to be a Brave, you would expect, but sometimes business happens, Danny. So how do these big decisions typically go down? And specifically with the Braves, what do you think happens with Fried and the shortstop spot? Do you think Arcia is a Brave next year?
Well, first of all, as Billy knows, the premier organizations never have problems getting people interested in playing for them. Every athlete at that point of his career, between 25 and 35, they want to win. And the Braves will always have a chance of winning. They're an elite team, a great ballpark, well-run organization, stable as can be, a great coaching staff, and one heck of a good manager and general manager. So they'll have no problem filling those holes. The key is they've been scouting replacements the entire year. Max Fried's going to be a free agent. He's going to have a lot of clubs interested. My guess is he'll have 10 to 15 teams talking to him, as rightfully so. This guy is one of the best pitchers in the game. Just think back how well he pitched earlier last week when he needed to pitch great for the club. And he had one of the elite performances of 2024. Is it Arcia? I don't know. He had a career year, but they'll be able to fill that need and they'll be able to get that starter. If it's not Fried, it'll be somebody else. This is one heck of a well-run organization. And as I said just a few moments ago, when you got a shot at winning, people want to play for you. So the Braves past and their consistency will play very well for their club.
Well, and I thought it was interesting after the game last night, Machado got interviewed and he had a ton of respect for the Braves. So that's like you said, well-run organization. They fought to the very end. But on the other side, I think the Padres can beat the Dodgers. Would you agree, Danny? I know it's easy to say that right after the Padres, they beat the Braves. They're hot, but do they have an advantage here? They kind of ride the momentum and that crowd. I don't know that I've seen a better playoff crowd all playoffs. They were awesome.
Well, let's take those one step at a time. First of all, I think the winner of this series wins the World Series. I think it's going to be either the Dodgers or the Padres hoisting the trophy at the end of the year, and I think the winner of this 5-game series will be that team. But I think what we have here is two really well-run teams. One of my proteges runs the Padres, and the Dodgers are the elite team in baseball. Despite all of their injuries in 2024, they have the best record in the league, and that's going to be a really big advantage in this 5-game set. Luckily, the first 2 games are in Los Angeles. Dylan Cease in game 1 is going to be big, but you know what? The Dodgers' first 2 games, they have a couple good starters. Yes, they could beat him, but then again, beating the Dodgers is not going to be an easy task.
No.
Despite their starting rotation problems, this is an elite club. I think what we're going to have here is the great series of the postseason. For someone who has been in Petco probably a couple hundred times for games, it is a fabulous place to see a baseball game. But Dodger Stadium rocks, and Dodger Stadium tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be unbelievably jam-packed. You guys will get a kick out of this. For the game tickets, the Padres are only selling tickets to people within San Diego proper because they're so afraid of Dodger fans coming in and harming their home field advantage next week. But guys, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a great weekend of baseball in Southern California.
Kelly?
This is this is a tough question, and I don't know. You may not want to answer this, but we talked about the Padres last year, and the Padres had all these guys plus the guy that went to New York, Juan Soto, and Juan Soto is the only guy that leaves. And everybody was talking about how good they were and how talented they were, and then one guy leaves, and now they look like they're the hottest team in baseball. Why is that?
But they weren't the hottest team in the first half of the season. I mean, you look back, Kelly, they were sputtering. They've got a new manager. Mike Schultz is a really good skipper. He was the Cardinals manager and got axed. And I think like every manager, you come back the second time, you're better. Soto, I think everybody thought Soto would lead them to the promised land. Their chemistry last year was awful. It was terrible. And I think Machado was partially at fault. I'm not a big Machado fan. He's a very gifted player, but he's got a streak in him that I personally don't like. And I think what you'll see in Los Angeles, Dodger fans didn't like when he was with the Dodgers. You know, this is a guy who didn't run a ball out off the wall in the postseason years ago with the Dodgers. And that lingers in my memory forever. And he's done things like that throughout his career. I think what we have here is a team that underperformed. They lost their owner last December, one of the finest men in the game in Peter Seidler. And I think it's probably helped them a little bit in a strange way where now they're trying to play for someone else instead of trying to play for themselves. But Kelly, you know what? You know this better than anybody. Clubhouses are funky. Sometimes one or two things in the course of a season turns it sour or turns it sweet. What they have right now seemingly is a cohesive team, but that can splinter so quickly. I think, you know, they're in a good spot. I don't think they're in the same spot as the Tigers are. The Tigers are unbelievable right now. They're merciless. And I think what we have is we have hot teams at the right time that also need to win. There's a sense of urgency in San Diego because of what you said, Kelly. They underperformed last year with high expectations. They got aced out. they had a desire to come back. And you know what that's like. An athletic team that underperforms has a bit of an edge the following year, as do players who underperform. So I think as you've got a lot of factors, I think the stars are in alignment. We're going to have a heck of a really good series.
So all these wild card series ended in a sweep except the one. What do you see the Mets and the Brewers? How do you see that playing out?
I like Milwaukee over the Mets tonight. I like Murphy in the dugout better than the Mets manager. Nothing against him, but I think Pat Murphy is a brilliant tactician, great motivator. They're playing at home. I like their starting pitcher over Quintana. You never know in a deciding game, Kelly, but I just like the Brewers in this game, and I think they're going to come out ready to go, and I just think their bullpen is better than the Mets bullpen.
So I was watching, I was reading some stuff and watching the videos of the Kansas City Royals and the New York Yankees rivalry back in the day. We were talking about it with Terry McCormick that came up about George Brett sliding into Ron Nettles, and they got into it. And then Hal McRae, he runs into Willie Randolph, and that's a huge deal. They used to get away with so much more than they do nowadays. But because George Brett says it's pure hatred between these organizations. How do you see that one coming out?
Well, I tell you, those Yankee Royals series in the late 70s, early 80s were war. I mean, it was ridiculous. You talk about a bowling alley at second base. It was unbelievable. McRae destroyed a second baseman, and then Nettles and Brett got involved, and they were headhunting. The fans charged the field. There were people screaming and yelling from the first moment of the game. I don't think these two teams hate each other because those guys weren't even born. I think there's a respect, and I think there's a rivalry among the fans and within the media. But Bobby Witt wasn't even alive. Aaron Judge didn't watch those games. So I don't think the hatred is there, but I do think there's a respect. And I think that's got a chance to be a really fun series to watch. I really like the way the Royals are playing and pitching, and I think the Yankees have something to prove. So I don't think you're going to see the bloodbath that we saw 40 years ago, but I do think you're going to see a very competitive series. And, candidly, I think the Cleveland-Detroit series is going to be fabulous. That's going to be two really good clubs that are really under the radar nationally.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, hold on, Billy. So my last one. So put yourself in your general manager's shoes again. When you come to the playoffs like this, I know you put this team together, you and obviously with help from other people, but how nervous are you? Or is it more nerves now than it is in the regular season, obviously because the stakes are higher? But how is your nerve level as a general manager, as a personnel how is that in a clubhouse?
A terrific question, Kelly. Can I wear shorts and still answer this GM hat question? Here's the hardest part, Kelly. All year, you strive to get into the postseason. Your goal is to get in. And you can always tweak and manipulate the roster on a daily basis. Now, suddenly, it's the work of your entire organization really on display. And, literally, the curtain's pulled away. I mean, people have been scouting you for probably a month. All your warts are exposed, but also all your elite decisions are there too. This is when you learn a lot about your club, your manager, your coaching staff, your support staff. But, I found it to be exhilarating, exciting, because you don't get many chances. But when you do, it's a real testament to everybody who works with you that get to that point, their families, the sacrifices people make. But nerve-wracking, oh my God. I remember one time, Kelly, and I think you'll really appreciate this, guys. I had a bowl of chips and salsa in the first game of a playoff series right behind me on a table. And in the second inning, somebody said, "Hey, what happened to the chips and salsa?" And I looked around and I said, "That's me." And I did the guac too. The guac is basically destroyed because, it's bubble gum, it's eating, it's chewing ice. but it's also enjoying the heck out of what you play for all year. I mean, I said to somebody this morning, if you don't like this time of the year as a club operator, then what the heck are you in the game for? You know, it's, you know it, Kelly, when you're in the postseason, this is why you have played since you were 10 years old. You want this to happen. You want this to work. So yeah, nail biting, you know, it's a little crazy, but that's why they have snacks. So let's go. Let's play.
Let's do it. We're going to open up the phones for Danny Evans. Fire away your playoff questions for him. We'll ask Danny some more baseball questions coming up. Keep it right here on 95.9 FM.
As you might be able to tell, my buddy Stan Harrison, he's an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, but he's actually here to talk about Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, Middle Tennessee. I'm Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers, and we understand the stress it causes in having an automobile accident. We can help you ease the stress of the auto body repair process at our 3 locations. We're conveniently located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. We've got rental cars available, we have PDR technicians available, and we have windshield technicians available. Please stop by one of our places and see us if you need our services.
And by the way, when you come in his office, this just in, he's a sports fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you need to contact Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you are a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. Check them out today at pancoastbenefits.com or call 615-292-3400.
coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are in your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We're back talking MLB playoffs with Danny Evans, our baseball expert. We're going to hit the phones. We've got loaded lines right now, and as soon as one person drops out, you can hop in as soon as another line opens. 615-844-5600. Again, that's 615-844-5600. All right, let's kick it off with George in Boston. No Red Sox in the playoffs, but George, how you doing?
Doing pretty well, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, Billy, this is a family show, and I want to be able to keep calling into this show, so I will leave out the prolific four-letter words I have for John Henry in the current state of the Red Sox.
That's fine.
I've got a couple of questions for Danny. The first of which is about John Henry. So this year, John Henry not only skipped out on Larry Lucchino's funeral, but he was also nowhere to be found this past weekend when the Red Sox honored famous broadcaster Joe Castiglione, who recently got an award from the Baseball Hall of Fame. My question for you guys is, what does he have to do that's better? I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins are in preseason. Liverpool's early in its season. You would think that he'd want to be with the team that helped him get those additional ownership interests. Curious as to what you guys think.
Well, George, I'm sorry about your Red Sox. They are one of the greatest brands in professional sports. And I knew Larry Lucchino very, very well. And I think since Lucchino was no longer a day-to-day operations guy, the Red Sox seemingly have lost their way a little bit. I was really saddened by his passing, but he was really the pulse of the Red Sox and had an edge to him. Some people didn't like, I personally loved. I thought it made for a really motivated front office. But I think it's really strange how the Red Sox haven't acted like the Red Sox in recent years. They've been very timid. It started with the Mookie Betts trade when they were afraid of their own shadow as a 5+ player, and they made a absolutely horrible trade for Betts and, you know, a franchise-changing trade for the Dodgers. And I think since then, they have given Alex Cora, whom I think the world of, they have given Alex Cora just a mediocre club, and I think he's managed it so well, but they haven't had enough talent to be a contending team in the postseason. And I think it's on them. What you said about Castiglione, I mean, I love Joe. I watched his last broadcast, and George, you know, I agree. There's certain times you've got to be there. Now, we don't know if there's something going on. You never know in someone's life, in someone's family. But I didn't get the pageantry that I expected, and I really expected it. This guy's a Frick Award winner, and he's one heck of a good man.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, George.
Oh, my other question for you guys is, Danny, you mentioned earlier that hitting in general is at a historic low in baseball. And I think one of the reasons for that is the analytics-driven approach by many of these hitters at the plate who are just trying to hit home runs as opposed to get on base. And I'm afraid for the long-term health of the game that it's ruining baseball a little bit and taking some of the nuance out of the game, particularly with contact and doubles hitters. I mean, I know, Kelly, you say this all the time from your old college football coach, but I think it applies to baseball as well, that baseball players come in all shapes and sizes, and you just got to go out and find them. And it seems like a lot of these modern-day executives just want these guys to be 6'4", 225, and if that was the case, you wouldn't have players like Craig Biggio, Ichiro Suzuki, Kirby Puckett, Jose Altuve, or Dustin Pedroia. And just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
George, terrific questions. I love your insight, and I love your passion for the game. Analytics has always been in baseball. It was in baseball in the 1950s with the Dodgers. I think now it's just more prevalent. We have more ways to measure, but hitting has always been the most difficult thing to do in professional sports. It's a bear. And I think what we have now is we have an emphasis on exploiting the hitter's weaknesses instead of the last 100 years, which was dominating with pitcher strengths. That's why you mix and match bullpens. That's why starters go lighter than ever before. But we also, with technology, can now scout and determine hitters, I would say, frailties more than ever before. I think it's really, really hard to hit, and it's now harder than ever. I don't believe it's analytics George, and I know that's the popular belief, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it was already hard. Now it's harder because of the technology. And I, like you, am worried about the game from an offensive standpoint, because without offense, the game doesn't have a side that people come to see. What do people go to sports to do? To do something that they can't do. They want to see the hitter hit. I think size, yeah, it matters in baseball, but little Altuve's running all over the field for a couple of days, and there's a lot of guys like him in the game. I think what we have here is a misnomer that analytics is ruining the game. I think we have a lot of bright people that are doing really good things, but I also think that we scout better than ever when it comes to game situations.
All right, we're going to take one more. Let's go to David in Nashville. David, I got about 2 minutes.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Danny, I have 2 questions, so bear with me. The first question is, I think yesterday in the Houston-Detroit game, we saw the artistry of the bullpen nowadays and the way that A.J. Hinch managed his bullpen in the bullpen game. Can you talk about how you manage that as an offense going against a team that is throwing a bullpen game?
Well, that's a super question, David. Think about Ruth, Williams, Aaron, Mays. They saw 1 or 2 pitchers every day. That's all they saw. Now you're seeing as many as 8 guys in a game. They're emptying out their bullpen. Hitters don't see a guy a second time. The lack of comfort is a really big deal for a hitter. There's fear, there's deception. I think it's a really, really great point. And I think Hinch did a great job yesterday. The thing I loved the most in the 7th inning was bringing the kid in, at 21 years of age in a 1-0 game in the 7th inning. I loved it. I just loved the lack of fear.
That was awesome. I mean, the Tigers, Danny, I didn't realize that, but the last postseason that the Astros made it but failed to advance was 2001. That is unbelievable. And I knew it had been a while where the Astros, they finally lose a playoff series, but they had been at least winning one. They went 10 straight postseasons, I think it is. Or maybe not 10 straight, but 10 in that time. I mean, just unbelievable what the Tigers did to get past that mental hurdle as well.
Yeah, well, the Tigers outplayed them. The Astros showed some warts that they haven't shown for the last 7 or 8 years. Still a really good club with a great farm system. They're going to be tough, but they were badly injured in this season, and you didn't see the full Astros club. But boys, I'm going to tell you something. That Tiger club, look out. I mean, look out. That might be a World Series club.
Torkelson, that's a fun team to watch. A lot of energy. Danny. I just said Tony. Danny,
I've been called much worse, Billy.
Yes, I'm sure we all have.
I have been, and they weren't Mr. Tonys either. They were much worse than that.
I apologize, Danny. Enjoy this weekend of baseball, and looking forward to catching up next week. Talk about some of these games this weekend.
Thanks, guys. I look forward to next week. We'll be talking about some great series.
Thanks, Danny.
See you, brother.
That's Danny Evans. Nobody better when it comes to talking baseball, and we do have a fun weekend. We got one tonight, Mets Brewers as well. See who plays the Phillies. We got to run. We got to get the stat of the day. Kelly on an island today. No George to.
Gosh. That's bad, Billy. Why would you do that to me? Bring Poggy in. If Poggy's on the line, bring Poggy in.
He wouldn't help you. Anyway, we got to get to the break. We'll have stat of the day coming right up.
Good afternoon. It's been a mess out there in Hickman County as they try to clean up an accident that happened earlier today. 40 eastbound at the 162-mile marker. Again, that's delaying some folks that are coming in from Memphis towards Nashville through Hickman County. It's heavy out here on the South Loop. The West Loop 24 is also building, headed out through Antioch. Hey, world-renowned singer Ricky Godfrey's playing tonight at Prince's Hot Chicken, 5814 Nolensville Pike. Motown Blues Rock and Roll. Go by and see him tonight at Prince's Hot Chicken on Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
The Omni Nashville Hotel, located 5th Avenue downtown, and proud sponsor of the Mid-State Checkdown High School Football Game of the Week, is Nashville's premier destination for the highest quality accommodations. Start your day with a cup of Bongo Java and the Biscuit Bar at Kitchen Notes. Indulge your taste with the best beef in Music City at Bob's Steak and Chop House. And wrap yourself in luxury at Macara Day Spa before enjoying a nightcap at Barlines. And when it comes time to host those holiday partings and gatherings of family, let the Omni Nashville Hotel take all the worry off your plate. Proud sponsor of the Mid-State Checkdown High School Football Game of the Week, and located in the heart of Music City, the Omni Nashville Hotel is your only choice. The Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you need to contact Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you are a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. Check them out today at pancoastbenefits.com or call 615-292-3400.
G-Force Parking Lot Striping is reminding Americans to show support to the brave men and women who serve our U.S. military. Their tireless efforts should never go unnoticed. This message is brought to you by G-Force Parking Lot Striping. For commercial parking lot striping, give the pros a call today at 615-517-9835. 615-517-9835. That's G-Force Parking Lot Striping, proudly saluting our troops and veterans. They're professionals who care.
The Jim Rome Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Tyreek Hill beat Noah Lyles in a race. I love the beef. And Reek is fast. Really, really fast on a football field. But there's no way he beats Lyles in a 100-meter race on the track. If Reek even goes there, he gets beat like a drum. He might be the fastest man in the NFL, but no matter how much you hate this guy, Lyles is the fastest man alive.
Weekdays 11 to 2, WNSR.
Wrapping up this first hour of the day at Underdog Picks coming up with Greg Pogue. George Plaster will be chiming in as well. Stat of the day brought to you by Adam Whitehead Plumbing. Find him in Bellevue, 8076 Sawyer Brown Road. Give him a call, 615-485-1534. Kelly, I'm sorry in advance for this.
Golly, dude, are you serious?
This is probably, even with George, this would be brutal. You will be able to phone a friend if you want. Pogie's already in the stream, so if you want to elect
bring
to
Pogie up. The Tigers beat the Astros last night to advance to the ALDS. Who was the last team the Tigers beat in the playoffs before last night? Oh, gosh.
Are you wanting to bring Pogie in?
Please.
All right. Pogie, are you there?
I don't have a clue. But anyway, I'm going to guess.
I'm going to guess, too. I'm going to guess the Yankees.
Yeah, I would say the Yankees. I'm going to go to the Indians. Because
Indians.
I'm going to go with the Indians.
Okay, Pogie's going with the Indians. Kelly, who you got?
I got the Yankees.
Okay. This answer is going to shock you. It's the Oakland A's.
The A's. Wow. Way to go.
A 3-2 series win in 2013.
That's a horrible question. Horrible question.
That was a pretty brutal question. I don't think George would have been able to get that one either.
George hadn't gotten one in 3 weeks.
But anyway, Pogie, thanks for checking in for Stat of the Day. We'll see you with Underdog Picks.
I didn't check in for Stat of the Day. You brought me up.
I knew something smart was coming. Pogie, we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, anyway, coming up, Underdog Picks. George is supposedly calling in to the show to give his picks for the week. It was a rough weekend for the guys. We will recap and much more coming up here on the George Plaster Show, 95.9 FM.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A week after Hurricane Helene hit Florida and devastated southeast states, more than 200 people are now confirmed dead, and the toll is rising. President Biden in Florida and Georgia today pledging more federal aid. It comes a day after he toured hard-hit North Carolina. ABC's Karen Travers says the damage and recovery needs are vast.
The White House says more than 40,000 people in North Carolina have applied so far for disaster assistance, and FEMA has paid out more than $6.2 million to people there impacted by Hurricane Helene.
Vice President Kamala Harris campaigning in Wisconsin today, joining her staunch Republican Liz Cheney, who endorsed Harris last month, saying former President Trump is a threat to democracy. Trump holding a rally in Michigan today. Israel continues airstrikes in southern Lebanon targeting Hezbollah, a large blast occurring in Beirut a short time ago after the IDF called on civilians to evacuate the area. This is ABC News.
In all states or where prohibited by law, loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Meet Brian. He just got $5,000, and it was pretty easy. I'll tell you how in 10 seconds. Brian needed cash help. After being rejected by banks, he tried 27cash.com. Told them how much he needed, even let them know he had bad credit. In minutes, 27cash.com found a lender who deposited $5,000 into his bank account the very next day. If you need cash help, even if you have bad credit, go to 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards? Rent is due? We need cash help.
We should go to 57cash.com.
With our bad credit?
57cash.com helps all credit types. They partner with over 100 lenders to help even people with bad credit get approved for up to $10,000. And cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
Wow! When you need cash help, go to 57cash.com. 57cash.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Here we go!
From the Nashville Sports Radio Media Complex. Welcome back to the George Plaster Show. Call George now at 615-844-5600 and online at WNSR.com. And now, George Plaster.
Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown, Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Kelly Holcomb, along with Gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Welcome back on a beautiful Thursday in Nashville. George Plaster rejoins us now for Underdog Picks by phone. George, are you there?
Billy, I am. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to fix this this video right now because you can't see me, correct, Kelly? Usually say that about George.
Well, either one of y'all, not very comforting to look at.
Thanks. Very kind of you, Kelly. Anyway, still can't see me. That's a little frustrating. Either way.
Kelly, start being a team player.
Save it, George. Just because you're not here don't mean you don't get drugged through the mud, okay? Save it, Hoss. Is somebody driving Miss Daisy today, or are you driving yourself?
No, I'm driving myself.
Oh.
Miss Daisy, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's welcome Greg Pogue back to the show ahead of Week 6 of Underdog Picks. Pogie, how you doing?
I mean, that's a country boy talking right. Anyway, you're not pretty either.
No, yeah, I am. Abercrombie and Fitch model, bro. I could be LL Bean for sure. That's for sure. My gray hair would fit nicely into LL Bean stuff.
I'm doing some spots for big, large, wide, and ugly.
Hoagie, are you a little anxious today with this big series, Game 3 coming up?
I'm sitting in the parking lot of City Slickers, liquor return. So I'll have that taken care of in about an hour.
Okay.
No, I bet that. Actually, they're listening to us inside the store right now. A buddy of mine owns it, and I just come by here to I got to find a place on the way home when I get off at the show at 4, and I can't make it home in time. But yes and no. It would have really hurt if they would have got swept, because this is a team that was one game away, one loss away from being in a bye this week and having the best record in the National League. So, the 2 out of 3, it would be a tough one. I'd like, and I told you guys, and I was listening to Danny Evans earlier, what a have it. But Jackson Churia, it's 20 years old and he's a stud. So anyway, I think we're playing with house money right now.
Well, we're having a little bit of trouble with you, Pogie. I think I'm going to try to get the station to give you a call. I think that might work out.
Or I'll just call. Yeah, I'll have Hal call me.
So, Billy, I got a question.
George, Billy is gone right now. He's circling.
Okay, then Kelly, you can answer it. Danny has been close with Max Fried going back to when Max was a teenager. Did he say today he thinks he's leaving the Braves?
He was uncertain. He mentioned the fact that obviously Fried wants to be a Brave, but he also talked about how you never know in these off seasons, where the franchise will go. But Danny did say that obviously Fried wants to be a Brave. Whenever you're in a franchise that is winning and you have players that want to be a part of it, you're in a good spot.
George, he did say that 10 or 15 teams would be after him this offseason.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's, well, first of all, in spite of what went on last night, he didn't pitch well, and certainly getting hit didn't help him. I'm a huge Max Fried fan, and I want him back because I think if they do re-sign him, if they just have a normal, decently healthy year, I mean, look what this team did with kind of its hands tied behind their back.
Yeah.
You get them even halfway healthy, they're a problem.
Yeah, and obviously, Brian Snitker, we've talked about it. He almost deserves to be Coach of the Year. The way he did that. But either way, we do have Pogie back for Underdog Picks. Pogie, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that. I'm on the video. You don't want to see me. I've got a barrel on the top of my head right now. So, I'm excited for the Brewers tonight. Think about this, Vanderbilt fans. 1982, I went to all 7 of their World Series games in St. Louis. Game 6 got drenched, and they went 26 straight years without going to the playoffs again, and I never lost it. And we've talked about this. Why are you a fan? It's a lot of different reasons, but everything I covered here in Nashville, I couldn't be a fan of, so I never grew that fandom. The Brewers, it's good, Hey, I'm telling you, if they win the World Series, I'm getting a Brewers logo tattoo. And Kelly, you can just point out anywhere on my body you want it to be.
I want it to go over your mouth. That's where I want it to go.
You and my wife. Yeah.
All right. Let's review. Tough week for everybody. 0-3 week. We'll start off with Kelly. He had Florida State +6. The Noles got boat raced by SMU 42-16.
Yeah, they're in the doldrums. They suck. So do I with my picks.
Kelly, when are you going to get a win, man? Come on.
Don't start with me, dude. This is the longest I've ever been. I get it. Hey, it's what have you done for me lately? I suck right now. I've got to pick it up. I told you last week there were 2 games, and the other game that I told you to look for me was I wanted to make sure it was the same on your sheet that it was on mine. But the Troy Louisiana Monroe. I knew Louisiana Monroe was going to beat them, but I didn't pick it.
I mean, you have a standard, Kelly. I expect.
Yeah, well, my standard is gone. My standard is I'm dealing with George Plaster and Greg Pogue. That's what my standard is.
Yeah, come on, down there and get in the gutter with us, bro. I mean, let me ask you: do you think you're overthinking it, or like, are you like when you were a quarterback and just managing your picks?
What a bunch of psychoanalytic
Don't make me say go Mets now, okay?
Okay.
All right, up next, George Plaster. A tough weekend for you as well. Illinois had it close. Thought they might have had a shot there at the end, but the 19.5-point spread was a little too much. They lose 21-7, but good effort. That's a respectable loss there, George.
Yeah, when they took the opening kickoff and scored, I thought, I might have to text Kelly before this is over. But Penn State was clearly the better team, and if James Franklin hadn't been so conservative, that game would have ended up about 35-7.
All right. Hoagie, USF. You had USF +5.5 at Tulane. Well, the Bulls got boat raced 45-10 in New Orleans. What do you have to say?
The Bulls became steers.
That was not a pretty look. All right.
And Country Boy Kelly, explain that to the guys. I mean,
Poggy, 45-10 is embarrassing.
That's why I just said they got castrated.
I know.
All right, so that's a little review. Kelly with a loss had Florida State +6. That lost. George had Illinois +19.5. That lost. And Poggy had USF +5.5. That lost. We'll see if anybody gets back on the board this weekend. But first,
Why are we repeating that information? We'd already gone through it.
I just need to get out there, reaffirm how bad that weekend was for y'all.
Yeah, reaffirm this.
Thanks, Billy. Why don't you sit over there and just run the broadcast, Hoss? We don't need to hear all that.
That's what I'm doing. It's my job as commissioner to inform the people what y'all did.
And another job, I told you this last week. Can we get another picture of George? That does not replicate him, okay?
Where does that?
It's AI. It's AI. It's artificial intelligence. He's never worn that before in his life.
That's a good one, Bogey. It is artificial intelligence, no doubt, because there's nothing that can make George look that good.
He's never worn that in his life. All right,
Bogey, do you have a suit?
What?
I said, do you have a suit?
Yeah, it's 4 clubs.
Nice.
This is going off the rails quick. All right.
It is.
Standings time. Number 1, George Plaster with 12 points.
Gosh.
In second, Greg Pogue with 6.5. And then last but not least, 0 points. And Kelly, you're still in it. I mean, George and Greg have been pretty bad too.
Yeah, well, it's embarrassing.
I mean, you're still in the fight here, Hoss.
As many years as I've been in this with George, I've never seen him at the number 1 slot. That's embarrassing.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Billy, did you just call Kelly Hoss?
Yes.
He's picked up on my words, Poggy. It's okay.
I don't even. I'm not. No jokes. Just wondered if he's calling you Hoss now, Bill. I mean, Kelly. So.
He's rubbing off on me, I guess. All right. This week's order. We're going to start with Kelly in the 2-hole, Poggy, and then last, George Plaster. So that's what we've got. George, are we I know I'm the commissioner, so are we wanting to hit the break first and then do picks, or go ahead and do picks now?
I'd say let's go ahead and do picks. I think the audience is on the edge of their seat.
I can't imagine them going through a break right now. That'd drive them crazy to go through a break.
All right, let's kick it.
They truly are on the edge of their seat, Billy. Way to go.
Well, you're up first, Kelly, and let's cue the music. I think we've got the music.
Mississippi River, she's a gold dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm just what are we doing, Billy? I mean, can I wait till my song's over with? I mean, that's my song for 20 years, dude. Can we wait? Okay, I'm trying to get on the board here. I've got 2 games. There was not it didn't look like a very good group of games to me. I'm going to say that the Running Rebs of UNLV get beat by Syracuse. I think that's a 6.5-point game. Is that what you've got?
That is what I've got. So you've got UNLV.
No, I've got Syracuse to beat UNLV.
Oh, Syracuse to beat UNLV.
Yes.
The competition, Billy, is for an underdog pick.
Well, did Kelly not say UNLV to beat Syracuse?
No. Syracuse to beat UNLV, Hoss.
Retain the information.
Yeah, Billy. Grow up, dude.
The underdog needs to win. Syracuse is the underdog, and that was my number 1 pick, Kelly. So I don't ever want to hear any more of your crap about me taking your pick.
Thank you. There wasn't many picks. I mean, there's not much to choose from. So we're probably going to pick the same games.
All right. So Kelly riding with Syracuse plus 6.5, 8 o'clock tomorrow night in Vegas. So there's what Kelly is going with. Up next, we've got Greg Pogue.
We'll have a barrel of fun.
We got the blues on the run. Sing, sing out a song of the cheer.
All right, that's enough.
Yeah, and a confession. The reason I got off video is because I'm shirtless right now. So anyway.
Oh God.
Who are y'all pitching
Too much
tonight?
information. Yeah.
All right. George, did you?
Who are y'all pitching tonight?
Tobias Myers, left-hander, and you look at his numbers the last 5 weeks, he's been lights out. We got the best bullpen in baseball, best reliever, best closer in baseball. I'm for you. And Danny said the Brewers would win, so it must be true. I need the Duke Blue Devils to go to Atlanta and beat Georgia Tech.
Okay.
So give Duke plus 9.5.
All right. So Poggy riding with Duke plus 9.5. That is in Atlanta at Bobby Dodd Stadium. All right. So Duke 9.5. ACC matchup. Poggy's pick. To wrap it up, we're going to go with George Plaster.
Billy, I'm taking Stanford. Virginia Tech's a fraud.
So is
That's
Stanford.
I like that pick. So George riding with Stanford plus 7.5 at home against a potential fraud alert in Virginia Tech. So you're calling this a fraud game, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them are fraud, as is George. He's a fraud.
Well, and the thing is, did you notice that his intro with the tomahawk chop lasted longer than the Braves did in the postseason?
When was the last time your team won a world title?
Working on it.
Okay. Good answer. I'm a BFL. I'm a Brave for life.
I think, hey, you know me, that's my other favorite team, and Snitker did a really nice job putting the puzzle together and working with what he had and what he didn't have. They made it fun all the way up to the end too, and isn't that what it's all about, right? I mean, so yeah.
Thank you. Good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
I'm rolling out the barrel.
Rolling out the barrel. Let's do a little review for this weekend. Kelly has Syracuse plus 6.5 over UNLV. Hoagie riding with the Duke Blue Devils plus 9.5 over Georgia Tech. And George has Stanford plus 7.5 at home against Virginia Tech. Big weekend. Got to get on the board. Gentlemen, good luck this weekend.
Never, Billy.
Yeah, save it.
You're like Willie.
Thanks.
You don't mean it.
No, I mean,
guys.
This is still a fair. I mean, there's a lot of parity, fair competition, tight race. Let's get some wins.
Up. What?
Hey, you're the play-by-play announcer. We don't need analysts, okay, and analysis. You're the play-by-play. Leave the commentary out. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Puggy. It was an
Really,
honor.
It seems like you've taken on some water today.
Take it
Let's
on.
go.
Some
Get them
little
both off, Billy. Let's move on. Get them both out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice to meet. Hey, nice meeting you guys. Good luck in the industry.
See you, Puggy.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. See you, George.
Billy, see you tomorrow. Kelly, have a good weekend. Rest well.
Yes, sir. You too.
What a gym shoe operation.
Gym shoe, dude. I mean, you've got to get control of it, Billy. You've got to bring the gavel or something and get control of this.
It's not as easy as you think.
Yes, it is. Just talk over them. Let's go. Get them out. Get them in. Get them out.
Poggy. Sometimes it's hard to talk over Poggy, but anyway. All right, coming up, Kelly. There's a lot of good SEC matchups this weekend that I think some people forget about. It may not be the best slate overall throughout the weekend, but I want to get your take on all the SEC matchups. Some of them with higher spreads than others. Some of them with some really tight spreads. So we'll run through some of the big SEC games this weekend coming up with Kelly Holcomb right here on the George Plaster Show. Keep it here, 95.9 FM.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
And get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
5:27 is the time on a Thursday, last day with Kelly. Couple segments here to wrap it up. George will be back tomorrow with our Football Friday show. A lot of high school football talk tomorrow. But Kelly, I want to get your take on some of these big SEC games. And I don't like when people look ahead to a weekend. They go, "Man, it's not the best slate," because a lot of times those slates are the ones that turn out to be a really good weekend with a lot of upsets. And there's some upset potential, especially in the SEC. And I want to start with Alabama and Vanderbilt. It's kind of fluctuated a little bit. I think it's down to 22.5. Alabama, the favorite. I saw a stat today on Kalen DeBoer. He's now 30-3 as a Power Conference coach. 30-3. He's 6-0 against Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, and Dan Lanning. This guy is legit.
He can coach.
And I'm starting to think, is this another level of Alabama in the modern age? And, because all the talk, maybe not all the talk, but a lot of the talk was Alabama's going to take a step back with Nick Saban leaving, and not everybody believed that, of course, but all of a sudden, Kelly, this Alabama team looks better than they were last year, better than the year before. And it's like they've unlocked the modern era of Alabama football.
I told you guys when he got hired that the people that I talked to, he won I think it was a Division II national championship in Sioux Falls. He won 3 of them.
Yeah,
that dude's a really good. He's a really good coach. Yeah, NAIA. So he's a really good coach. He understands the game, and I think. Obviously, Nick Saban was there. He's the greatest coach, arguably. You got Bear Bryant, you got some other people are up there, but he won 7 national championships, 6 at the University of Alabama. But time ends for all these guys. Time goes by and it ends for all these guys, and somebody's got to take the mantle, and they've got to pick up. And this new age of college football, this new age of recruiting, this new age of NIL with money and with the transfer portal and all that, I think they picked the perfect guy. And I've told y'all this. I think that Tennessee was. I heard from so many Tennessee fans saying, "Hey, now you're going to have to come and be where we are with everybody else in college football." Where you're not that upper elite level anymore, but you can come down where we've got some parity in the middle. And I just don't see that happening with Alabama. I really don't. I think he's a good coach. I think he's the right guy for the job. Now, everything's kosher right now. Everything's good. What's going to happen when things aren't so good, and he loses a couple of games. So then that's when we're going to have to see the true mantle of Kalen DeBoer. Can he handle all that? Which I'm sure he can. He's been around the business for a long time. He played at a small school, and he's coached for a long time. So I think they're really good. I think you look at Jalen Milroe. I think he's gotten better, which last year he kind of learned his way through things. He had that bad game against earlier in the year, and I forget who it was against, and then he got benched at the South Florida game, and then he kind of got to see, and even Nick Saban said, I wanted to see how he reacted. Could he be a good teammate? And he could, and he came back, and everybody knows the rest. He won all those games, had that miraculous game at Auburn. The guy's a stud. He's still got to get some consistency passing the ball, but he's a good deep thrower. And golly, man, that guy is an athlete. He's like a stallion. He can make things happen when there's nothing there. So I just don't see them going down much. But, hey, we'll see because time will tell.
Tennessee is at Arkansas. They're favored by 13.5, 6:30 kickoff. Fayetteville should be rocking and rolling. This is a big chance, Kelly, for Tennessee to make another statement. Made a statement in Charlotte against NC State, made a statement against Oklahoma on the road, but they really haven't played a good offense. NC State, they've struggled since that Tennessee game. Oklahoma, we saw them go down and beat Auburn, but beating Auburn seems like not that difficult of a task at this point. But they got Taylor Green, Bobby Petrino, and Arkansas. This will be a different challenge. I think Tennessee wins, but you go on the road, first SEC road test. Well, second, actually. I forgot Oklahoma was an SEC team now. But second, this is a different – Arkansas's offense will actually move the football, Kelly. But do you think it'll be enough for them to challenge?
I really don't. I think that the Tennessee Volunteers have become one of the upper echelon teams this year. I really do. I think the quarterback he's got a ways to go. He's very inexperienced. He's a good-looking kid. He's tall. I think where they've gotten better, everybody knows about the Josh Heupel offense, especially when it came out with Hendon Hooker and they scored all these points and they wrecked Alabama and they scored 52 on Alabama. Everybody knows about their offense, but I'm going to go back to what I said. I can remember watching I think it was last week or the week before, Josh Heupel talking about he wants to not only be an elite offense, but an elite defense. He said, this is the home of Reggie White, of Al Wilson, of Eric Berry. These guys, we want to have a complete team, and we want to be elite on both sides of the ball. And I think they are. I really do. I think defensive line-wise, they get after you. I know that Tony Basilio is not huge in their secondary, but like if you've got a front seven and a front four that can get pressure on a quarterback with James Pierce and those guys up front, that's the best thing for a secondary, because if a quarterback does not have much time, he can't sit back there and read the defense. He's got to make his decision quick and get rid of it. Now, Arkansas has this Taylor Green kid. He's a young guy. He's very physically gifted, it looks like. He got benched, I think, last week and then came back in the game. But he's one of those I'm biased here, man, because I get so sick of watching guys run around. I wish we could go back to great quarterback play, but that's not what these coaches want anymore. And I had a coach tell me that. He said these coaches nowadays want these kids that are athletic, that can get them out of bad plays. And I had a Power 5 Division I coach tell me that. He said they just don't want true pro-style quarterbacks anymore. And I think that's where the game – it's going to go back at some point because, styles and clothes come back, the 70s and the 80s, all that stuff comes back. Well, I think that the true quarterback is going to come back at some point. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but he is athletically gifted, man. He can run. He's big. He's strong. I just don't think Arkansas has enough for Tennessee. I really don't. From what I've seen from Tennessee, Tennessee's really good, and I don't think they're going to get tested with Arkansas.
Well, you saw Brady Cook earlier in the season, and he's a little bit more of a pocket passer as opposed to Taylor Green, who likes to run. Cook can run it, but he's been inconsistent. Whether it was Boston College or Vanderbilt, it's like Missouri hasn't been able to turn it on. Well, they're going to have to turn it on Saturday. They're at Texas A&M. The Aggies are slight favorites. This game's basically a pick-em. It's at 11 a.m. Right. Missouri's coming off a bye, but this is a big chance for Mike Elko. This will be a big win. I think both teams need it. But I want to ask you about Cook there. What do you think is up with that offense? Because they've got good receivers, they've got good running backs, they got a good offensive line, but something's just not clicking.
He has been a little inconsistent, and when we were out there, when my son's team played those guys, which was a rout, we knew that, but he missed some long throws, and everybody talked about how all the fans were upset, but he had been working on that all off season, and when you start trying too hard and you got to work on things, but when you start worrying about it. He
Can't
had some
make it
guys
more of
wide
an
open.
issue. Yeah.
It's become more of an issue mentally for him,
Right.
and he struggles with the deep throws. He's missing guys, and it's hard to miss. Some of those guys they got that can run. The Burden kid, and I think that's his name, and then the Weiss kid or whatever. But he's got some guys that can run, and he's just been inconsistent. He can run too now. He can pick him up and put him down, and he can make things happen, and he can buy himself some time. So if they can get that going, they're going to be okay. Now Texas A&M going down to Texas A&M, and what Mike Elko has done there, I think they're really good, and I think they're only going to get better. It's funny. It's not funny, but it's something to see that Marcel Reed is coming to the game, and he's kind of giving them some juice. I've always had my doubts about Connor Wegman, the quarterback there. I haven't really. He doesn't move the parameter for me. I just think Marcel Reed has come in and he's giving those guys some juice. He's making headsy plays. He can move around. He can throw the ball. One of Jameson's old teammates at Troy, Jabri Barber, is down there. He's a really good player. They've got good players. It's going to be hard for Missouri to go into Texas A&M with all those, with the 12th man and all that stuff that goes on at Texas A&M. That's a hard place to play and a hard place to function logistically with when you're on offense and it's so loud. It's going to be a tough task for Missouri. Now, if Brady Cook plays well, they can win that game. But I like you said, it's a pick'em game, so that's going to be a fun game to watch and see who comes out on top.
One more before we go to the break, and if anybody wants to chime in on the phone lines, ask about one of the games you're looking forward to watching this weekend, or rehash some of the MLB playoff stuff with Danny Evans, you can hop in. 615-844-5600 is the number. Again, 615-844-5600. Another atmosphere that is unbelievable, Kelly. South Carolina, they host Ole Miss. The Rebels are 9-point favorites. South Carolina might have the best defensive line in the country, and the Ole Miss offensive line struggled last week against Kentucky. And you got Lenore Sellers. He's supposed to be back from his injury. Right. All of a sudden, this is danger zone for Ole Miss. Not sure about Rocket Sanders there for South Carolina, whether he's going to be healthy. But, Kelly, this is a must-win for Lane Kiffin, or else – I mean, if they don't win this game, I don't see them make the playoffs. Still got to play Georgia, and still got some other tough games down the stretch. So this is a must-win for Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, it's become really critical really early because if we've talked about 2 losses, but just like you said, there's no easy games right now. And South Carolina beat Kentucky at South Carolina weeks ago, and they looked pretty good. You talked about the Sellers kid coming back. He looked pretty good in that game. How was Ole Miss going to come back from the loss they had last week? I mean, that's really the deal. Is Jackson Dart going to be able to keep this ship a sail? Because they are talented on both sides of the ball, but you're going into South Carolina and it's loud there as well. It's going to be neat to see just how this game comes out too. Is Jackson Dart going to play well, or are they going to step up and, like Coach Donnelly said, come to the licking block? Because if they lose another one, they still got a tough schedule and it's a tough road to go. And this is kind of a must-win for them. That's hard to believe that we're talking about this the 5th weekend of the season, that it's a must-win for a team, because everybody's talked about Ole Miss being in the playoffs. Ole Miss is going to be in the playoffs. Lane Kiffin has got this team headed in the right direction. They are going to be in the top 12. Well, you know what? If they lose this game, you might think that again.
Yeah, we feel like it can either really shock a team's system and maybe they're off for the rest of the year, or this is that one game that flips it for them. You've seen that happen with Georgia teams a lot of times over the years, Nick Saban teams, where you lose one early or even one in the season, and that one loss defines a team's season. Can Ole Miss do that? I think there's a ton of pressure on Jackson Dart to perform. And one more thing on this, Kelly, is Ole Miss didn't really play anybody before. I mean, they had four, I guess it was five teams that they just weren't matches for them whatsoever. Georgia Southern and Wake Forest and some of the other non-conference. They had played all four non-conference and then Wake Forest. Or I guess,
and then Kentucky, then Kentucky goes down there and does. Like is Kentucky better? Like they're obviously better than we've given them credit for. I mean, they took Georgia to the end, and they were the number one team in the country. And then defensively, they're really good, and that's what Ole Miss ran into the other day. They ran into a team that's really hot on defense and that can stop you, and they just made a couple of plays on offense. And this is a big game for Ole Miss.
It's a massive game, and obviously a lot of other big games. Got Auburn and Georgia. Georgia favored by 23. That's at 2:30. Deep South's oldest rivalry. Auburn might have the Deep South's worst quarterback situation. So that good gosh. And they played them close last year, so we'll see what happens there. What's your favorite game of the weekend coming up, or whether it's SEC around the country? Hop in the phone line 615-844-5600. Might take a call or two. If not, we'll hop into a little bit of NFL, Kelly. So we'll wrap up the show, and then we'll get George's Bet of the Day. A lot more coming up right here on the George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you need to contact Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you are a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. Check them out today at pancoastbenefits.com or call 615-292-3400.
Convenient and efficient. Find out more at jhacompany.com. JHA,
your one source for an unparalleled scholastic experience.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. No George today, but he'll be back tomorrow with Football Friday. So that'll be big. We'll talk a lot of high school football. Kelly, I saw a story out in your neck of the woods, Blackman and Oakland. I guess it was in week 5. I think last week there was a fight after the game, and now both schools are on probation.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't know they were on probation. What does that mean?
Well, Tom Krieger put out a piece in the Tennessean, and he outlined, he said Oakland and Blackman received punishment from the TWSAA after their post-game fight. They've both been handed 2-year probations and fines from the TWSAA after they handed down penalties to them for the fight. They notified each school of the punishments on Thursday. Probation for both schools for the remainder of the 2024-25 school year, with an additional year of probation next year for the football programs at each school, and a $1,000 fine for the athletic programs of both schools. And I mean, going back to the probation deal with Lipscomb Academy, they weren't able to play in the postseason. So I don't know.
Oh, really? I can't believe that. Yeah, there's been some issues up here before, and that never happened. So it'd be interesting to see what the words in the probation mean, because
the fine print.
Until you take the postseason away from people, it really doesn't matter. That's the problem sometimes with the TWSAA, and those guys hire me for the state championship game, so I'm not going to say anything bad. I just know it's all about money, and Oakland's been there for a long time, and they've won a lot of state championships, and it did get ugly the other night from what I hear. I was not at the game. I was listening to it on the radio, and then I went inside because with 3 minutes left to go in the game, Oakland had thrown an interception. I think towards, I don't know if it was in the end zone, but they were going in, and I thought that was going to be the end of the game. Then they get the ball back and they score again, and they end up beating Blackman. And then there's a young kid that it's kind of a brief synopsis of what's happening in our world right now, Billy. Like there's no respect. It's kind of an entitlement deal, but he goes up to the Oakland kid goes up to the Blackman fans and jumps in the stands and starts yelling and screaming and doing all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, man, but it would be interesting to see just how that's worded by probation.
Yeah, and obviously it might be a bigger story if they were taken away from the postseason. So we'll keep an eye on that. But wanted to get that out there. Again, we'll have more high school coverage tomorrow with excuse me, football Friday. Need a little bit of water. Looked like you yesterday, Kelly.
Or me today.
Today too. All right, we've got. Let's get to Tony in Nolansville. Tony, how you doing?
Good afternoon, guys. Good to talk to you. Whatever George is doing, I hope he's safe. That's the main thing. Be all right. That's true, I'm sure. Listen, guys. First of all, talking about high school, did either one of you see the recent post of a high school game in South Carolina, how it ended? It was either this past weekend or last weekend, where a team that was 1-3, they were beating a certain team or a rival that was 3-1. All the quarterback had to do was take a knee. There was 0.2 of a second left on the clock. Play it stopped. When he took the snap, Kelly, he didn't take the knee. He just sort of standing there and backed up. Well, he went to pitch the ball back to the official, thinking he done blowed the play dead, game over. The official didn't. One of the defenders on the team that was losing knocks the ball loose, or whatnot, picks it up and waltzes into the end zone.
Wow.
How upsetting would you be? It is almost like the sergeant. situation, but a little different. So, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, Kelly couldn't hear you a little bit. But
okay. I didn't know. I thought I lost y'all.
You're good, Tom.
But, okay. And then, but two things I want to run by you. Number one, I am so sick and tired of these players falling out like they've got a major injury, like they've been sniper shot. I'm sick of it. They just are told to go down, and they're getting 3 timeouts a half. Each team is. You get a 2-minute timeout now, and then these players are going down because trying to stop the flow of the game. Something has got to be done about that. Each team in a game is doing it, and it's in every game. Something's got to be done about that. And then one other thing I was going to touch on, I might touch on this too. We had talked previously about each team. This was earlier before the season started. There's going to be 2 or 3 teams get in with 2 or 3 losses. Well, the way the season's playing now, there might be 5 or 6 teams. The way the schedule is, and as tough as a lot of your opponents are, there might be 5 or 6 teams in the SEC with 2 and 3 losses that are either not going to get in, or it might be that many getting in because of the way the schedule is playing out. With, you see the good teams here go beat somebody, and then they got to go on the road and they get beat, or vice versa. And we're seeing that play out on almost every weekend. So I was going to let y'all touch on that too. But I'll leave y'all alone. Have a good evening. Talk to you. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it. Thanks, Tony. Kelly, he brought up the players dropping with an injury, with a quote unquote injury. You saw a lot of that in the Ole Miss Kentucky game. I think an Ole Miss player dropped down. I mean, we're running out of time here, but there's no place for that.
No, there really isn't. And Kirk Herbstreit got really upset about it on one of his broadcasts at the ABC. Him and Chris Fowler, he got really upset about it.
He was.
Yeah, he did. He got really upset about it, and that's kind of like it is what it is. The game is moving at a very fast pace now, and don't try to do stuff like that. It was the Tennessee-Oklahoma game is what it was, and you could tell that the kid was, they had, I don't know who tells him to do that, but the head coach knows what's going on. We got to slow him down somewhere. I don't like it. I don't think that's a good spirit of the game, because hey, they're going fast now. You got to figure it out.
Well,
Nick
Saban
said that a long time ago. Nick Saban said that a long time ago, talking about, hey, offenses are getting faster. We just got to step up with them. And when you're doing stuff like that, that kind of takes a little bit away from the game.
Well, you might. I mean, you got to start reviewing it, and if you can
absolutely.
tell,
and giving them a penalty or something,
right? There's no way. I mean, he's perfectly standing up. You can tell. I mean, use your eyes as an official. That needs to be a reviewable play. That should have been turned into a reviewable play. We actually had an official on, and he did give some reasoning about it, but something's got to happen, because that it's happening too much. And that's what Tony brought up. But we got to hit the break. One more segment, bet of the day. We'll get to Georgia's pick tonight involving Troy and Texas State, the big college game tonight. So stay tuned for that. One more segment coming up here on 95.9 FM.
Good afternoon. Still running slow out in Hickman County on 40 eastbound at the 162 mile marker from an earlier truck crash out there. It did at one point, like I said, had traffic slow in Dixon County. Just a bit on 40 going westbound. As you come out of Dixon County into Hickman, traffic's on the increase now to Madison on 65 north on that ramp to Vietnam Vets. Hey, Nash Painting, a non-franchise painting company, mention this ad, get a 10% discount, 912-2288. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Attention business owners. WNSR has some exciting opportunities for your business to thrive in the dynamic world of sports radio advertising. As the proud home of some of your favorite sports teams like the Atlanta Braves, Memphis Grizzlies, and more, we understand the power of sports in bringing people together and creating a passionate community. We believe that your business can become an integral part of this experience, reaching a diverse and engaged audience. Contact the WNSR sales team for an opportunity to discuss how Nashville's sports radio can elevate your brand to new heights. Whether you're interested in a specific sponsorship package or would like a customized solution, we are here to meet your advertising needs. Call 615-844-1039. 615-844-1039 or email saleswnsr@gmail.com. That's saleswnsr@gmail.com.
1, 2, it's coming for you. 3, 4, you could win much more. 5, 6 on a scratch ticket. 7, 8, it's not too late. The new haunted Jumbo Bucks instant game with a top prize of $75,000. It's a terrifyingly great way to celebrate Halloween. Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Just remember to play responsibly. 9, 10, time to play again. Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. While leaning over the fence, your neighbor said you could save money bundling home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. Your neighbor leaned over a little too much and broke your fence. Dumb news. Somehow fence wood is more expensive than wood. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and to plant really tall shrubs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hello, this is Greg Pogue inviting you to join Nick Guerrero and me this coming Saturday afternoon as the Tennessee State Tigers return to Big South Ohio Valley Conference Alliance play on the road against Lindenwood University in St. Charles, Missouri. The Tigers under fourth-year coach Eddie George even their Big South OVC record with a win last Saturday against Charleston Southern and look to build upon that with another league win this time on the road. That's Tennessee State at Lindenwood Saturday right here on Nashville Sports Radio, WNSR. Pre-game show 12:30, kickoff at 1.
Final segment on a Thursday. Time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Burke Durham Injury Law. Kelly, let's check out what happened last night. George had a tough night, tough last couple nights.
Yeah, he took an L.
Took an L.
With his heart, it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tried to warn him about betting with his heart, and he did that the last couple of nights.
Hey, what did I tell him about Max Fried? What did I tell him? Sometimes you have off nights.
Sometimes you have off nights.
And he got hit. I think when he got hit that one time, I think that messed him up for some reason.
Yep. And he, it's not like, I mean, he started well, but the Padres just jumped on him. And I know what Danny said about, they're hot. And I think they're going to keep rolling because, Danny talked about this is their year or one of their years. I mean, they'll still have some good players, of course, down the road, but they're hot. And so
they are hot.
It's going to be interesting to see. Either way, Braves lose. So George now inching closer to that 500 mark, but he's got a chance tonight to redeem himself, and he is going to ride with Texas State minus 14.5 against a struggling Troy team. Obviously, you lose Coach Summerall, and you're kind of left wondering, what do we do now? This could be a big win, though. I mean, if Troy gets this, Kelly, that could catapult them. I don't know if they have enough. Texas State has a good quarterback in Jordan McLeod, who transferred from James Madison, who had a really good year last year. Texas State with G.J. Kinney. I don't know how. I mean, who's the Troy coach, Kelly?
His last name's Parker, Jared Parker.
Jared Parker from Notre Dame. That's right.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, that is correct. And I didn't realize the JMU quarterback went to Texas State. Why in the world would you leave JMU? JMU is a really good football team. Yeah,
it felt like a lateral move. I think G.J. Kinney playing for him. He wanted to go play for a really good coach. But either way, that's the Georgia's pick for tonight. Texas State minus 14.5 against Troy. So ride with them if you want to. If not, you can fade them. Kelly, have a good weekend, my friend. That was fun.
See you, brother. You did well. You did well.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow with Football Friday here on 95.9 FM.